I am fine and not fine. I suspect that is true of just about all of us. Fine and not fine. I'm fine. I'm fortunate to be at home, comfortable, and with companionship. I'm still working with all of you, lovely people. I'm in good health, and no one who is close to me is suffering from COVID-19. And I'm not fine. Selfishly, I am so tired of being isolated at home. I'm missing all the beautiful liveliness of public life and missing spending time with family and friends in real, physical spaces. And I'm fine. I can be patient, I can endure, and I know that this too shall pass. And I'm not fine. Well, we have hopes now, I think, in Ontario of lifting the shutdown as the flattening the curve has worked. Without a vaccine, there's no clear path forward without more resurgences. So it's scary and it's worrying still. And so I am fine and I am not fine. And so it goes, like a pendulum swinging back and forth. Fine, not fine. And I think this is just absolutely normal in a situation like this. It's normal to feel more feelings and feel them more strongly and go in between them more quickly when you're adjusting to seismic social shifts. And really all we can do is accept them and breathe through them and know that each one will come and go as they need to. Just accept and breathe through. Because this has been a seismic social shift. We have lost a lot of personal power, and we have no influence on when we will be able to move freely about in the world again. And for those of us with privilege, whether that's because we're white or middle class or educated, financially well off, we've really been taught that we create our own lives, that if we work hard, we can achieve whatever we want. We're encouraged to be true to ourselves, to follow our bliss, fulfill our potential. Each individual is the authority of their own life. And now, all of a sudden, it's about being part of a collective. We're having choices being made for us, big ones that are impacting on our livelihoods and our families. And it's like we went from being the queen bee in our personally designed hive to being a worker bee in a global hive. We don't have control anymore. We're just small bees in this gigantic hive. And that hive is making decisions for the collective good, trying to protect the vulnerable, protect healthcare systems, prevent as many deaths as possible. All we can do is follow along, staying isolated, losing jobs in some cases, risking our lives as essential workers as others, and hope that these collective choices make a difference. How they impact on us individually is less important than how they impact the whole. And that's hard because they still impact us. And we aren't used to mattering so little and having so little agency. I can't imagine how people on total lockdown in places like Spain and Italy and China felt. But I think it's an important shift for us in Western society, that perspective change from being our own personal queen bee to worker bee. Being a small part of a very great whole, the perspective we're not generally asked to experience. At least I haven't. Those of you who have lived through communism or have military experience may have, but most of us haven't been asked to sacrifice for others in this way, to let go of our self-importance and help or get out of the way. And it's a very visceral experience of knowing that all life on Earth is connected and we are just one small part. A few small bees in a great global hive, just part of the buzz. And I can't say I like it. I don't like feeling small. I don't like having so little control over what I do and where I go. And I think this experience may also be a gift of perspective, of seeing how deeply our lives are entwined with every other life on this planet. I would not have thought that transactions at a meat market in Wuhan, China would ever impact on my life. But we can see those connections now. The air I breathe is indisputably the air you breathe too. So now we're not only living out that truth of our seventh principle, the interdependent web of all life, but I think we're also sort of living into some form of our sixth principle, that goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And while peace and liberty and justice are still a work in progress, we are part of this world community. It's been brought to the forefront. And this global shutdown, I think, is an act of justice. It's a way to protect those who are the most vulnerable. And we now have this opportunity to live our principles in a very real, fundamental way. To live as a small part of a great whole of a people and a planet. This is a gift of perspective. It's not necessarily a welcome gift, and it's not an easy gift. But I think it's a gift worth keeping. We've been given the gift of living our principles in this world community. And I think there's another gift to be found in this difficult time. This reduction of our lives to the small bubbles of our households, and for some the intensity of work as well, can offer us the gift of being. We are a goal-oriented society, scheduling everything weeks in advance. And just being alive and present, that's unproductive. This reduction of our lives can be a gift, an opportunity to breathe and be more deeply, to experience that intangible sense of self, that spark of the light of life within. And I've struggled with this because words don't really explain it very well. This is an experience of both becoming more yourself and less yourself. Less that mind full of wants and needs, and more that deeper presence of being absorbed into life. And I think one of the ways we can find ourselves to that place, that core of being, can be to have daily patterns bringing you into the here and now in the present moment. It might be a regular meditation practice or yoga or a daily walk, something that helps you get into your body. I have a friend who puts on one loud song each day and dances like a maniac. Or it may be a spiritual practice, like a daily reading or a gratitude journal or singing every day. Or it can simply be a daily routine that is done with care and attention. And for me, this is making my morning pot of tea. Over the years, I've developed a routine that uses particular mugs and special teaspoons, and I have favorite teas that are just for the morning. And when I take my time preparing the tea and pay attention to those first few sips, these ritual actions that are ritualized by the virtue of me doing them daily and with intention, taken together, this sort of act of tea making makes me more me. With my focus on that act and these movements that I've done daily for years and years, my mind can step aside for a moment and I can just be. And so that morning cup helps me be myself more and less, if that makes any sense. It redirects my attention from the endless stream of thoughts, and I can just settle more deeply into just being, even just for a moment. And there are times, and it's not always, where it feels like finding that spark, that flickering flame of life that is me at my core. And it's a moment of grounding. I feel better in the day if I have done this act, and I feel off any day that I miss my cup of tea or if it gets done in a hurry. And I think if you're struggling with that limitations with these reductions of life, finding that core of life through routines will help. Finding some daily or regular pattern that sustains you and helps you feel more like you. Make it more intentional. Take the time to do it just right and pay attention to what you're doing and be present to it. And at the same time, can't try too hard because it isn't about concentration, it's about being, just being present and alive in the moment. And so I think it's an opportunity now to focus a little bit less on our to-do list, to focus less on the future, to focus less on all those things we can't control, and provide some routine and structure to our daily life. And that will give us that gift of being, that spark of light within, reconnecting to that. And that's a worthy gift. So we're being offered this gift of being and a gift of perspective. These reminders of how inextricably our lives are woven together, that we're a small but vital part of a global connective. Life is part of life. And so may we live into this time of fresh perspectives, intimately bound in each other's lives, and deeply connected to our own being. So say we all.